All right, you guys, today is going to be an interesting topic. How to purchase a home with little money out of pocket utilizing the NACA program. Now, what this is really going to be is a review from my perspective as the buyer's agent. I just had a client that just closed. So I don't know, do like a little cheer, but she just closed utilizing the NACA program. And so I'm going to give you my updated experience in 2025 and how that went, seeing it from my perspective, but also seeing some things that my client went through as well. And if I think that it is a program that you should check out. Now, I'm going to try to keep this short. It has truly been a roller coaster of events, and I really do have mixed emotions about it. But again, I'm here to always provide you guys with options and information. And now that I have completed the process and I know some things, I definitely want to share that with you in case, because you never know if it is something that you do want to look into. I just would really suggest making sure that you do your full due diligence on it. And if you're in the Central Texas area, please feel free to reach out to me. I can definitely give you my experience in addition to you hopefully listening to this video. So listen to the entire thing, because like I said, it has been a roller coaster of events, but she is done. She is a homeowner in Texas and she did complete the program. Let's just dive into it. If you don't know who I am Brina Gordon, your favorite Central Texas realtor. My job is to ensure that you have all the tools and information that you need to make the best decision possible, which of course is knowing what programs are out there for you to utilize. Now, with all that being said, right off the bat, would I suggest the program? Very, very limited. Probably times that I would suggest it, simply due to the length of the program. You have to be very diligent on your end as the buyer to go through the process, because there is a whole process that she went through even before we even started searching. So it is very, very different than the traditional route where, you know, you'll get your pre-approval like in a couple days and all that. They do operate a lot differently. In a sense, they are nationwide. However, I think that they're a little bit more popular in bigger cities, more denser cities, because that was some of the challenges that we encountered. It's just, it's not really utilized out here. So trying to get inspectors, and if you have to have a certain sort of contractor and just everything, even our title company, it was all the way in Missouri, and that became an issue towards the end. So I think in theory, it's a great sounding product. It's a great sounding program. Unfortunately, I have to say that the execution of the program and just dealing with the different sources there was very, very challenging. We got a lot of wrong information throughout the process at times, and I can easily see some of the reviews that I saw online. If you go there, like, you'll see a bunch of 5 stars, but from what I've learned, it's also something that they actually to do in the beginning processes. And so I think in the beginning, a lot of people are super excited, but I don't know how everyone's ending experience probably is. I can tell you from my perspective, again, it's not something I would probably suggest for most clients. And even my buyer, she was very adamant, just, you know, she was like, I don't know if I would do this program again. Now, again, she did close. She closed with very little out of pocket. She got a good interest rate. And so, you know, all those are the key points that of course attract people to this buying option or buying program, especially in our current economy, because it makes it feasible. But again, I think that their staffing and just some of the processes within the actual system are just not good. We had a lot of challenges with communication, getting correct timelines. We had to extend on options. We had to extend closing. And so all those became challenges throughout the process. And I can easily say if we did not have a seller that was a lot more flexible than a lot of others, unfortunately, she probably could have lost that house just due to, again, trying to get accurate timelines from the representatives, our mortgage counselor. There were times when she gave us, you know, timelines and they just were not accurate. You do have to utilize a inspector that they have already approved, or you have to get an inspector approved ahead of time, and that itself is, you know, a week or so process. And we were under contract and we were trying to get an inspector approved through their program, and unfortunately her representative told her, you know, it would just take 24 hours. They'll get them approved. They'll take the course. You know, it's simple. And so I had one of my local inspectors that I work with a lot agree to it, and then somehow he got kicked out of not kicked out, not in a negative sense, but he got removed from the program. No one could ever figure out why. And then it turned around. It's like 7 to 10 days. Like, it's this whole extended period to get approval and all that. So then she had to get an inspector from about 2 hours away, which also cost her an extra $300 to get that inspector. And then if there's required repairs, that inspector also has to come back out. Now, luckily, we were able to just negotiate around it. She ended up getting some different seller concessions and waiving some. And then they're still making certain repairs after they finish the purchase, or, you know, once they get moved in and everything. So some of it is still tied into the NACA program even after, and we'll see how that part goes as well. So I keep you guys updated, again, just so you really know how everything is working, because it sounds really good on paper, but it can be really, really frustrating, again, because we're trying to get answers even all the way up to closing. We had to extend closing twice, and we were constantly asking, like, hey, you know, what's going on? Where's the clear close? and we unfortunately just were not getting answers on any side. Then even title became an issue at the end, just trying to get her signed, and they got really irritated for, you know, just trying to work around because she had already extended past her time off and everything. So it was a really challenging process.
Hey, if you're thinking of relocating to the Fort Cavazos area, I have just the thing for you. My team and I have actually taken the time to create the ultimate relocation guide, which is meant to save you hours of research. And I have it linked right down below. The best part is there's no obligation to this, and it's going to come with everything from the top employers to the best schools and a boatload of other information, everything that you need to make the best decision. Again, no obligation. So make sure you click the link below. It also will be pinned, and I hope that it helps.
Now, of course, it was my first time going through it, but we did try our best to navigate it. Of course, as an agent, you do have to take their seminar, and I tried to read, like I had the manual, I took the class, and you know, we tried to ask a lot of questions ahead of time, especially because we were going into a home that was going to need some work. So we were trying to get some of the questions answered ahead of time, and it's just very hard to get answers that are not exactly in their like normal script, and then just trying to, you know, get calls back at time or get an email back, or if you're trying to get something escalated, it's kind of a challenging process. Now again, I want to always emphasize that she did get to close with the lower interest rate. They have different priority members, so it is dependent upon, I believe, the average income in the area and some other factors and things like that. So she did get a good rate. She did have minimum out-of-pocket closing expenses, which is what the program offered and what was the true benefit of it. So at the end of the day, they got what they wanted, and so I'm very, very grateful for that, because it does make home buying an option for a lot of people. In our area is a lot of VA buyers, and so we don't always encounter different options because VA is 0% down. If it's a new construction, we're probably already getting seller concessions, or we're just negotiating it in, but we don't necessarily get a better interest rate. And so she was able to utilize and get a better interest rate. So I think, you know, if they could really clean up the processes, which this is just one agent, I probably will not ever matter in their scope of reorganizing or, you know, getting feedback or something. But I will say just communication was very poor. Updates were pretty poor. The extensions that we had to do and just waiting for feedback, they also have to review your inspection report, and they will send you a list of required repairs, which is also tough because we were hoping, okay, you know, it's not bad, we just got some few cosmetic things, and ended up getting like a page and a half worth of repairs. And to be honest, to get a seller to agree to that is really tough, especially when it's harder when it's a third party outside of the contract trying to look at it. And looking at an example, a drain was slow. Now, you know, you're supposed to have a certified plumber come out, evaluate it, use a scope, and so that's an additional expense in addition to, you know, that's somebody else's home. So it's a lot of, I think, things that are just not always realistic necessarily in the process. So, you know, she worked it out to get some things waived, and some things are going to get taken care of after. So now they're going to start taking care of some of the things. If this was a less flexible seller, or where there wasn't concessions to take care of repairs after, I think it could have been a very, very even more challenging in regards to on the listing side, and just not dealing with the challenges that we are experiencing on NACA.
All right, now for the question of the day. What is the first thing you look for in a new city? Is it a coffee shop? Or your favorite store? I really want to know, so make sure you comment down below, or better yet, shoot me a text, email, or even give me a call. All my information is going to pop up here on the screen. So again, what is the first thing you look for in a new city?
So I know that right now there are a lot of programs. I do have lenders that are offering 0% down with conventional. If you're looking at new construction, of course, there's a lot of incentives with that. You have USDA out here, like in Copper's Cove as well. So there's a lot of different options other than that. Like I said, I wasn't completely new to it. I had a client that I had suggested to it a couple years ago, but they did not complete the program. So this is my first time fully going through the program and seeing everything. And some of it is just outdated, even some of the verbiage with MLS and their BAC, like they're asking if it's on the MLS, and that was something that was rolled out over a year ago, and they have yet to update their systems or their verbiage to reflect that. So stuff like that is challenging, because then I had to try to explain it, or she had to explain it for me to her representative. And that's another thing too. If you don't have your buyer agent representation uploaded to their portal before they do their onboarding steps, you can't actually get connected to their representative. Now, I did get looped into email chains down the line, but you don't have that same, I guess, flow of communications. So it's just kind of a different process. I think it could definitely be cleaned up and be an excellent program. But I think right now, again, just the lack of communication, the lack of updates, the times you have to get extensions, it can be very tricky. And I can see why sometimes there's some lower star reviews, again, because going through the process is completely different than the onboarding of it. And it can easily become a problem, especially, again, if you don't have somebody on the other side that's flexible while you try to navigate through extensions and just not getting updates and stuff like that.
Hey guys, as much as I love making these videos, there's one thing that I absolutely love more, and that's helping families from all over the US make the move here to the Fort Cavazos and surrounding area. I've helped countless families move here, so whether you're coming out next week, next month, or even next year, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. My contact information is going to be right here down below in case you missed the pop-up screen. And I look forward to helping you and your family move to our beautiful area.
So there is a program out there. I do think, check other programs beforehand, again, just to save some headache, because there's definitely some headache in this one, and just stress. Moving and purchasing and selling is already stressful. And when you're adding stress on top of this third entity that's kind of the gatekeeper of everything, it can definitely be a challenge for everyone. So that's my experience utilizing that from a buyer's agent, and also watching my client go through it real time as well. But if you guys have questions, make sure you drop them down below. Again, I think it's a great program in theory. It's just the execution of the program needs a lot of work.